This week we will start talking about intersecting cylinders with prism shapes. Prisms can be anything from triangular shapes to squares to rectangles, things like that. Sometimes these intersections will involve joining two solids together, which is what we see here on this page. This is page 287 in chapter 7 of your textbook. And you can see that we've got a cylindrical shape here and a rectangular shaped prism here. Now when we look at these two shapes, this one and this one, notice that the width of this rectangular shaped prism from front to back is the same as the diameter of the cylinder. When we have that, we're going to have a tangency between this rectangular surface and the outside of this cylindrical surface. When we have a rectangle that is not lined up tangent to the cylinder, or the width of the rectangle is less than the diameter of the cylinder, we're going to have an intersecting surface. Let's take a look at the 3D drawings down here at the bottom. Now they've got the cylinder shown as a circle in the top views. We'll take a look right here. We can see that as we draw this surface or this solid here, this cylinder is drawn here, the rectangle is drawn here. And notice that the edges of the rectangle, the bottom edge and the top edge of this rectangle in this view are not tangent. When we project this information into the front view, because there is a lack of tangency, we will have a vertical line here. Also, because we don't have tangency, when we look at the right-hand side view, there is going to be a space between this vertical line here, which is the front edge of the rectangular shaped prism, and this edge, which is really the outside of the cylinder at the 6 o'clock position. And there's going to be a gap in between those two. You need to pay attention to this drawing because you're going to have this multiple times. And for you to go and draw a shape that looks like this and it not look like this is inexcusable, because you've got your textbook and you've got a reference that you can follow. So I expect you to use your textbook. Now, we come down here this at the bottom, and this drawing is of this part, where we have the the front edge of this surface being tangent to the cylindrical surface. And when we see that, we have this horizontal line here and the one at the top coming in and basically being tangent to the cylinder. When we have tangency, you'll notice there's no edge. We don't show an edge here, but we still show the center line, okay? Now, some people have not been doing what they need to be doing as far as center lines are concerned. Every view should have center lines if you have a cylinder, whether it's a solid cylinder or whether it is a cylindrical hole. The center lines cannot end flush with an object line, so stop trimming them flush. You must be able to see the break in the center line, so you must set the properties of your center line, especially the line type scale, properly. If you don't, it's not going to look right, and you're going to continue to lose points. Now, getting back down here, you'll notice we don't have a vertical line, but you can see that the center line of the cylinder defines where the flush, or where this flat surface is going to blend in flush with the cylindrical surface. Simple, because, well, it makes sense. If it's a horizontal line, it's going to be flush with the cylinder. at the quadrant. Also notice in the right-hand side view, because both lines are tangent to the cylinder, that the width of the rectangle is equal to the diameter of the cylinder. So how do we draw this? Let's minimize this. I already have AutoCAD open. We're going to draw a cylinder here. Now, this cylinder that I'm drawing has a diameter of 1.5 inches. Now, sometimes when it comes time to draw the part, maybe let's draw the cylinder first and then come back and draw the rectangle. So when I look at this cylinder, let's say that the cylinder is 2 inches tall. So I'm going to project from the quadrant over, up, 1.5, over 2, down, 1.5. And there we go. There's the side view of my cylinder. And I'm going to project this up and over. Draw a line from another quadrant up and from my red quadrant up. Draw my 45-degree miter line. Some of you aren't using your miter lines. And eventually you're going to get in the bind. As a matter of fact, some of you already are. Because I'm finding drawings where the right-hand side view and the top view do not have the same depth measurement. And because of that, I'm sorry, the drawing's wrong. If you've not learned how to use the miter line, it's time to do it now. Because eventually you will get to the point where you can't draw anything because you don't know how to use it. There we have my cylinder. Now, I'm going to be a little crowded here, so I'm actually going to move my miter line in my right-hand side view. Can I do that? Yes, I can. I'm going to move both of them. And I'm moving both horizontally. I can't move them vertically. Now, let's just say I have a rectangular shaped solid that intersects this cylinder. And let's say it's 1 inch wide. Okay? So I'm going to draw a line from here over to there. I'm going to draw this line up. And I'm going to type in 1. I'm going to move that line. I'm going to put its midpoint there. That tells me that that is the width of my rectangular shaped block. Let's say it sticks out 1.5 inches. Now let's say 2 inches. So I'm going to let's do 2.5. That's better. I'm going to move this. Usually your dimension is going to be given from the center of the cylinder. I'm going to move this over 2.5 inches to there. And then I'm going to draw a line from here over. For the time being, I'm going to get rid of this line so you don't move it. Now, when we look at this cylinder here, is this line tangent to this? No, it is not. Therefore, it's going to be an intersecting circle. It is going to look like 7.3A, which is the top images on page 287. So let's trim this out, excuse me, so that I have, let's say that this is actually half of the inch thick. So what am I going to have? Well, here's the end of the part. We project it up like this. I project this up to there. We use the extend command because the bottom of the part or the back of the part is going to be the same for both the cylinder and the flat part. So I'm going to offset. I said it was half of an inch thick. Offset 0.5. Bring this forward. And what does this give me? Well, let's focus on this end first. It trims out to a flat. Now what happens over here? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to recognize that the end of the rectangle here and the beginning of the circle is right here. I'm going to come in here and I am going to trim that line back. Now notice this line right here is part of the cylinder. Well, when we join the cylinder and the prism together, this line right here is actually absorbed inside of the prism, so it's gone. Now that should look a lot like the front view in image 7.3a. Now how does this affect the right-hand side view? Well, these two lines come over like this in the front view. The depth primary dimension comes from the top view, and we bring it down from the top view here. Now understand, these two lines, because we projected this line and the back line, are what make up this rectangular shape in the side view. So we're going to trim those lines to themselves. Now, are we finished? Well, technically yes, but again, y'all are leaving the miter lines out. You can't. We've got to have our miter lines. When we see the cylinder as either an ellipse or as a circle, we have to have intersecting center lines. So, and again, the reason I draw the large circle is to extend this out to make sure that they're the same length, that they intersect on the midpoint, and for crying out loud, the endpoints do not flush with anything. Now, at this point, I can select both lines, and I can change them to center lines. Now, again, sometimes you're changing them to center lines, but they don't break. So you just look at it and say, well, go on and go on. No, you can't do that. You've got to go into the properties of these two lines. So I'm going to select both of them. There's no other commands available. Right click, bring up the pop-up menu, go to properties. And right here is my line type scale. If I can't see any breaks whatsoever, I start reducing this number and make it smaller until I have a break. I've got a break here, so I don't need to do that. Use the X and get rid of that. Now, it's simple. Once I get these drawn in this view, all I do is copy them, and I can bring them over here like that, and bring them up here. All right, that's a little short. I'm going to draw a circle and put the center point at a midpoint between where these two intersect. I'm going to make it a little bit longer. I'm going to repeat that in the same size circle, putting the mid between those, and use the extend command. My circle. And now my drawing's legal. Now some of you may be saying, what happens if these surfaces are tangent? Well, let's make one of them tangent. They both don't have to be tangent. So let's do this. I'm going to move that line up there. And then I'm going to square this off. Okay? What does this do in the top view? Well, what it does in the top view is it gets rid of that line right there. And the top view on the side view. And then extends this over there. That's the way that looks. What does this do in the top view? Well, in the top view, it takes this line, because I still have this line on the bottom, this line becomes a, pick this line again. That line's hidden. But because I say this at the top, that line extends over that. What if they're both tangent? Like this. Well, that's easy. Then both of these lines in the side view disappear. That comes down there. Because I don't have the edge on the bottom, there that is. Simple. That's how this works. So again, this is making two sides intersect or join with each other. You're either going to end up with an intersecting line, and you're going to have tangents. It's going to be one or the other. So again, study this area here in chapter number 7 and familiarize yourself with it.